Our brand new home burned down in a massive fire just 6 months after we moved in. When I went to check the situation, I found my mother-in-law, Natalie, and my sister-in-law, Isabel, searching for something. As I approached to talk to them, I overheard a disturbing conversation. Immediately called the police. My name is Jasmine. I married John 2 years ago, introduced by a friend. John was kind, but that changed after we got married. About 6 months into our marriage, John became a different person, as if someone else had taken over his mind. His language changed, and when he was in a bad mood, he'd yell so loudly that even the neighbors could hear. Once he started yelling, it was hard for him to stop, no matter how much I cried and screamed. After a year of marriage, John started coming home noticeably late. I asked John about it.
Hey John, can we talk? What is it? No pointless chatter, okay?
You've been coming home late recently. Why is that?
A question set John off. What are you implying? That I'm out having fun and working late for you and you question me like this? I never said you were out having fun. I just asked why you're coming home late.
Crowd out.
Let you yell some more. Go ahead, be my guest.
I learned that saying this would make John cool off and quiet down. I had been using this tactic to silence him lately.
One day I met up with Mary, the friend who introduced me to John. Hey Mary, about John, he's always quick to anger. It's gotten better recently, but he used to yell at me so loudly it was unbearable.
That sounds tough.
It's more than tough. I'm sure the neighbors could hear John's yelling, and it was really hard for me.
So, want to go shopping together soon? There's a sale coming up.
I felt like Mary was avoiding the topic of John, but the sale did interest me. When I said that, Mary smiled happily. I felt a slight discomfort with Mary's attitude today, but I soon forgot about it. That night, John came home and was unusually kind, just like he used to be. He even brought home a cake as a gift.
You're so kind today, John. Did something good happen at work? You're so kind today, John. Did something good happen at work?
What's usually not kind?
If you were always like this, I'd be so happy. I'm always kind, you know.
Given the yelling I had witnessed, I couldn't take his words at face value. But about 6 more peaceful months passed. John and I decided to build a house, thanks to financial help from my dad who lives far away. I called my dad to thank him. Dad, thank you. Come visit when the house is done. My dad responded cheerfully. Sure, I'm looking forward to it, but I'd also like to see a grandchild by then. Children are gifts from heaven. You know, just be patient. 6 months later, our new house was finally complete. The layout was something John and I had planned together, and I was very fond of it. The day after we took possession of the house, we invited Natalie and Isabel for a dinner party. I would have loved to invite my parents too, but unfortunately, they had caught the flu and couldn't leave their home.
What a lovely house. I'd love to live in a place like this. Right, John?
Mom, it's my house. You're welcome anytime. No need to hold back. And it's
A spacious room would be perfect for me. I'd put a TV here and a large bed by the window. The view is nice too.
I agree, Mom. This room would be perfect for you.
At Party 18C, I was puzzled by Natalie's comments but said nothing. However, I was shocked by what John said next.
Mom, that won't work. I'm planning to make this room my hobby space. You'd be better off in one of the upstairs rooms.
I can't do stairs. They'll be too difficult as I get older.
Good point. So, is this gonna be your room after all, Mom?
I had been listening quietly, but finally, I couldn't hold back.
Natalie, this room is intended to be mine and John's bedroom.
At that moment, Natalie's face turned red, and she trembled as she spoke.
What's with that tone? It sounds like you're telling me not to come here.
I'm not saying that. Like John said, we think an upstairs room would be better for you.
But stairs are a hazard for older people, as I've already said.
I understand, but you're still quite spry, so I think you'll manage.
How dare you? You think it's okay for me to risk my life on the stairs? John, say something.
John, who had been silently listening to our exchange, finally spoke.
Jasmine, you're in the wrong. Apologize.
Jasmine, you're the one at fault. Remember your place as John's wife?
I was so stunned by their words that I couldn't speak.
Why are you silent? Didn't you hear me tell you to apologize to my mom?
I heard you, but I haven't said anything wrong. Why should I apologize? We decided this room would be our bedroom when we planned the layout, remember?
I don't recall saying that.
See, even John says this isn't your bedroom. You must be imagining things. Get a grip. You're still young.
That's right, Jasmine. Should apologize. Start treating my mom better.
John, did I say something incorrect?
Us already. I'm losing my patience.
John, your face turned menacing, just like the old days. Seeing that, I felt sad and said, John, you only care about Natalie, not me. Tears began to stream down my face.
John, you married a difficult woman. If you'd chosen someone more obedient, life would be easier.
So, but it can't be helped. I chose Jasmine.
John, you drew a losing ticket, didn't you?
Well, it's fine. I have my own plans.
3 days later, Natalie had her bed and TV moved into the first floor room by a moving company. I watched as it happened, but I couldn't say a word. Living with Natalie became a daily struggle for me. She would constantly scrutinize my actions and find something to nag about. On trades, John was still coming home late, and the time he wasn't there was just Natalie and me. I wanted to escape. One afternoon, I got a call from Mary suggesting we meet up. We decided to meet at a restaurant near my house.
Jasmine, how have you been?
I'm fine. Why do you ask?
The reason? Just checking in.
Really, you say you're not good at it, but you're quite charming. You were popular in school, remember?
That was a long time ago. No one's interested now that I'm older.
Is that so?
How are things with John?
Not great. He comes home late and barely talks to me.
Mary had previously avoided talking about John, but this time she brought him up. She seemed somewhat relieved after hearing my words.
Mary, you looked relieved just now. Why?
Mary said with a shocked expression. You're overthinking it. Why would I need to look relieved?
I guess you're right.
Ephraim told her about how Natalie had forcefully claimed the best room in our new house and how John had insisted that I apologize to her. Mary responded, if you're going through all that, why not just get a divorce? I would for sure.
I might seriously consider it if something else happens.
You should definitely get a divorce.
So you think I'm pitiful?
You are. You should get a divorce.
Haha, there you go again.
Natural, I laughed, and so did Mary, but something about her laughter felt off. After that day, Mary and I started meeting more frequently for tea parties. I didn't want to see Natalie at home, so these tea parties became a perfect excuse to get out. After about 6 months after moving into our new house, I was on my way home from a tea party with Mary when I saw fire trucks rushing towards my home, sirens. I thought there might be a fire and hurried home to find several fire trucks surrounding my house, which was engulfed in flames and black smoke. Firefighters were aiming their hoses at the house. Ran towards it, but was stopped by a police officer.
This is my house. Natalie might be inside. Let me in.
The officer grabbed my arm and said, "We've confirmed that no one is inside. It's too dangerous to let you in." Just about 3 hours later, the fire was finally put out, but most of the house had burned down. Natalie and Isabel showed up, and I said to Natalie, "I'm glad you're safe, Natalie." But while glaring at me,
I called John after a while. Our house burned down in a fire. Oh,
John's voice on the other end sounded calm.
Is that so? I'll head to my mom's house then. What will you do?
Natalie's house is now occupied by Isabel alone.
can I go to your mom's house too?
I don't know. You have to ask her directly. I'm just saying,
Alright, come home early today.
I said that, but John hung up without responding. I turned to Natalie.
Can I stay at your house today?
My house is small and dirty, but thank you for letting me stay. Just for today. Tomorrow you'll have to find an apartment or something. John is a different story.
I was stunned by Natalie's words.
Okay, understood.
Despite our house burning down, John returned to his mother's house at his usual time.
I told you to come home early today.
John didn't say anything.
Plus all your work clothes burned up too.
I've clothes here, so it's fine.
Happy for you, but I lost everything. Plus Natalie told me to leave by tomorrow.
Well, it's my mom's house. Why not look for an apartment? Anyway, for Sive.
John echoed Natalie's sentiment.
Finding an apartment isn't that easy. I'll stay at Mary's.
Suddenly John raised his voice.
That's not acceptable. Find your own place.
Mary is my friend. It's fine.
I'd argue, don't inconvenience others.
But for some reason, John was suddenly angry. After John told me not to stay at Mary's, I reluctantly stayed at a business hotel the next day. I found an apartment, signed the lease, and moved in the following day. The police contacted me that day, saying it was okay to enter the house for a short time as they had finished their investigation. When I arrived, I saw Natalie and Isabel hunched over the charred remains, seemingly looking for something. As I approached to say something, I overheard a chilling conversation.
Burned nicely, but what a big mistake. I didn't think she'd be out.
You didn't check properly?
They were so engrossed in their search that they didn't notice me approaching. I took out my phone and started recording them.
John had a $1 million life insurance policy on her. What a waste. We'll have to think of another way, but first we need to find that diamond ring she had.
Right. That ring could fetch a good price.
Let's keep looking.
The moment Natalie pumped herself up, I spoke from behind them.
Actually, Isabel, what are you so diligently searching for?
But were so startled that they nearly lost their footing. Natalie then said, both were so startled that they nearly lost their footing. Natalie then said, "We're not looking for anything. We were just talking about how everything burned down."
So I thought you might be looking for this. I shoved them the diamond ring on my finger.
They both stared at the ring with a look of regret. I said, "I happened to be wearing this ring the night before the fire. It's a precious ring my dad gave me as a wedding gift." I added, "I heard diamonds can burn at high temperatures, you know?"
Oh, really? Isabel said, but I could almost hear her grinding her teeth.
By the way, I was shocked by what you said earlier. What's this about a $1 million life insurance policy on me?
Both of them turned pale and fell silent. Finally, Nathalie spoke. "We were just saying that you never know what could happen. You never know what could happen, so it's important to have life insurance." Isabel agreed. "That's right. Apashapalastuya," I said, "I recorded your entire conversation on my phone. I'll go consult with the police now." I quickly left the scene, wary of what they might do since they were capable of setting my house on fire. Sir Pierrotly Bactrese. I heard them shouting behind me, but I ignored it. I went to the nearest police station, told them everything, and showed them the video.
The officer prepared the paperwork and said we'll proceed with the investigation and contact you later.
As I left the police station and headed to my car, Nathalie and Isabel appeared. I didn't expect them to show up there. I asked, "Why are you here?" They replied, "You said you were going to the police, so we followed. We have a favor to ask."
Easily apologized on the spot. "Jasmine, this is all a misunderstanding. We apologize for our poor choice of words. Can you please withdraw your complaint?" Isabel also apologized deeply. But responded, "It's too late for that." Italy started crying loudly. Even though we were in a police station parking lot, I said, "I'm leaving. You should hire a good lawyer." I got into my car and drove away.
When I returned to my apartment, I was shocked to find John sitting cross-legged in the hallway. As soon as John saw me, he stood up and said, "Jasmine, about my mom, can you forgive her, please?" It seemed Natalie had contacted John. Why would I? My house burned down. There's no evidence my mom did it.
I showed John the video on my phone. He watched it, then fell silent. Well, anything to say? That was the moment I said, like I told Natalie, "You should hire a good lawyer. Now go or I'll call the police."
Entered my apartment and closed the door. John kept pleading from outside, but eventually gave up and left when I ignored him. The next morning, Mary contacted me and said she was coming to my apartment.
I'm really sorry. I've been betraying you all this time. I heard about your house burning down from John, but it seems like John is involved, and I can't betray you anymore.
I was confused.
I used to date John, but my parents didn't approve of our marriage, so we broke up. That's when I heard you were looking for a boyfriend, so I introduced John to you.
Why didn't your parents approve?
Actually, when my parents met John's mom, she was rude to the waitstaff. That was enough for them to say no.
Why are you still seeing John?
At least we broke up, but I couldn't forget him. So I started calling him, and eventually, We began meeting again. Now he comes to my house almost every day after work. I'm really sorry.
Equally indulgence of your priory, I don't care about John anymore, especially after what happened. But I'm shocked that you betrayed me, Mary.
I used to date John, but my parents didn't approve of our marriage, so we broke up. That's when I heard you were looking for a boyfriend, so I introduced John to you.
Did you say something to him?
Yes, I told him to treat you better.
What are you going to do about John and the others? Are you leaving it to the police?
What are you going to do about John and the others? Are you leaving it to the police?
Tears filled Maria's eyes. I acted hastily and filed a complaint, but I'll withdraw it. I expect they'll question me, but it's not because you told me to.
And Mary asked. Why? I replied. If they get arrested, they won't be able to compensate me for my house. Mary nodded silently. Let's go to John's parents' house. I said, you're coming too, Mary. So Mary hesitated for a moment, but then agreed.
We went to John's parents' house where John, Natalie, and Isabel were present. John was visibly shaken when he saw Mary with me. Why are you two together? John asked. I responded, Mary was my best friend. You have a problem with her being here? Best friend. You have a problem with her being here?
Natalie chimed in. And Jasmine, did you change your mind? I replied, well, I could withdraw the complaint, but there's a condition. Boss of rebuilding my house.
John looked pained and asked, that's easier said than done. I responded, fine. Then enjoy your time in prison eating terrible food. Natalie, with tears in her eyes, spoke up. All right, the three of us will work hard and make monthly payments. Please don't send John to prison. Isabel added, I'll work too, please.
Hearing them, John finally seemed remorseful and nodded. Okay, I'll work hard to pay you back. But that's not all. I said you used to come home late, claiming it was work, but you were meeting me every night, right? I'm divorcing you and will seek alimony. John was stunned. Mary nodded, crying. John also started to cry. A few days later, I visited a law firm through a referral and started the divorce process. I also had them draft an agreement for the repayment of my burned-down house. A lawyer said, if the police determine that Natalie and the others are responsible for the fire, they will be arrested regardless of what you say.
If the police determine that Natalie and the others are responsible for the fire, they will be arrested regardless of what you say. Are you okay with that?
I smiled and answered, yes, I am fine with that. If they get arrested, so be it.
How does it feel to be a criminal? How is the prison food?
Did you come here just to mock us?
Well, that too, but mainly to remind you about the payments. Please make them promptly every month. I am not one to give up easily.
2 weeks passed, the divorce was finalized, and the alimony I sought from John was a substantial amount. After that, John, Natalie, Isabel, and I were questioned by the police several times. I apologized to the police for causing trouble based on a joke Natalie and Isabel had made, but the police were professionals. In the end, all three were arrested, found guilty, and received prison sentences despite being first-time offenders. Years passed, and after serving their sentences, they were released. I immediately met with Natalie and the others to demand repayment for my house and alimony from John. How does it feel to be a criminal? How was the prison food? Did you come here to just mug us? Well, that too. But mainly to remind you about the payments. Please make them promptly every month. I'm not one to give up easily.
Fine, but I'm an ex-con now. I can't get a good job. So I can only pay a little at a time, and
That's okay. As long as you make consistent payments, that's fine. And don't forget about compensating for the house you burned down.
John, Natalie, and Isabel all looked defeated. You burned down the house my dad was looking forward to seeing. I'll make sure you pay for it no matter what it takes. I won't give up. Later, John took a job directing traffic at construction sites, while Natalie and Isabel found part-time cleaning jobs at a supermarket and a grocery store, respectively. However, 6 months later, all three collapsed from overwork and were hospitalized. When I visited them in the hospital, I said, "Once you're better, get back to work and pay me back. I'm not one to give up easily." Action Palmbase. As for me, I had taken a job at a small local company 2 years prior. About a year in, a man from my workplace proposed to me. He was a dull but earnest man, and his parents were very kind. With hesitation, I accepted the proposal and got married. Life became mundane, but a year later, we had a baby girl. Taking care of a newborn was tough, but every time she smiled at me, I felt incredibly happy. As I looked at her smile, I wished for nothing more than to live happily ever after with my husband and our baby girl. As I looked at her smile, I wished for nothing more than to live happily ever after with my husband and our baby girl.